Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you have been working on speaking English more confidently. We've got this great conversational script, just chock full of tips and techniques. So let's dive in. We're going to break it all down and distill all that advice into some seriously useful insights.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right from the start, the script highlights this common fear people have, making mistakes. But I think it's crucial to reframe that.
Oh, absolutely. And they give that great example of someone saying, he go to school. It really shows how even a simple correction can totally solidify the right grammar in your mind.
You know what's fascinating is that making mistakes isn't just about being corrected. Our brains actually learn from those errors. It's like our neural pathways are saying, okay, note to self, that didn't work, let's adjust.
So you're saying messing up is actually beneficial?
Absolutely. Especially when you're just starting out. Fluency is so much more important than perfect grammar. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. Even in your native language, you don't always speak perfectly right. It's about communicating your ideas effectively.
That is such a relief to hear. So how can we put this into practice? The script mentions daily practice, but sometimes even just a few minutes can seem daunting.
I totally get it. But think of it like exercise. Short, regular workouts are way more effective than, one massive session every few weeks. And just like with physical training, consistency is key. So start small. Start with simple conversations, greetings, asking how someone's day is. These are the building blocks of confident communication.
So instead of aiming for like an hour-long conversation right away, I should focus on those smaller interactions.
Exactly. It's about building that muscle memory for the language. And here's another powerful technique the script brings up: immersing yourself in the sounds of English.
That makes a lot of sense. I've actually started watching these English language cooking shows recently because, well, I love to cook.
That's brilliant. You're already doing it. The key is to make it a conscious effort. Find things you enjoy, movies, music podcasts, whatever speaks to you, and make English a part of your daily soundscape.
So it's not just about actively studying grammar rules, but also passively absorbing the language.
Exactly. And to take that a step further, the script talks about active engagement. Writing down new words, summarizing what you've heard. It's about turning passive listening into active learning.
Okay, I'm taking notes. And there's this other technique they mentioned, shadowing. Can you unpack that for us?
It's a fantastic technique. You listen to a native speaker and try to mimic their rhythm, their intonation and pronunciation by speaking along with them. Imagine you're like their echo absorbing their style.
I love that analogy, but realistically, wouldn't I get totally lost trying to follow an entire conversation?
That's where the script's tip of breaking down audio into small chunks comes in handy. Choose a 10-20-second segment and really focus on those nuances. It's like a pronunciation workout.
This is starting to sound like a whole English-speaking workout routine.
You got it. And just like any good routine, it needs a strong vocabulary component.
The script emphasizes learning new words daily, but isn't it easy to forget them just as quickly?
That's where the power of some repetition comes in. Think of it this way. Every time you encounter a word, it's like you're strengthening the neural pathway associated with it.
Mm.
And by revisiting the word at increasing intervals, you're really solidifying it in your long-term memory.
So it's not just about memorizing a list, but making those words a part of my active vocabulary. The script also mentions learning phrases and idioms.
Absolutely. Idioms add so much color and personality to your speech, making it sound way more natural. For example, instead of just saying, I'm very tired, you could say, I'm beat.
I can already see how that would make my English sound more authentic. And speaking of sounding natural, the script talks about finding a language partner.
Having a dedicated partner, someone to practice with regularly, can be incredibly motivating.
Mm.
And the script even recommends specific apps like HelloTalk and Tandem, or even just searching social media for conversation groups.
So it's like having a workout buddy, but for my English.
Exactly. You can support each other, share struggles, celebrate victories. Plus, it doesn't even have to be a native speaker. The script emphasizes that connection and shared experience are key.
Okay, so we've covered consistency immersion, active learning, shadowing vocabulary, and finding a language partner.
Oh.
Wow, that's a lot to process. What stands out to you as like the most crucial piece of advice?
Honestly, it's the concept of thinking in English. That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, we are definitely going to have to dive deeper into that.
We will. But for now, think about it this way. It's like you're switching the operating system in your brain. Instead of constantly translating from your native language, you're starting to form those thoughts directly in English.
Yeah, I've heard about this before, but it always seems so abstract. How do you actually make that shift?
Well, the script offers a really simple starting point. Start labeling objects around you in English. So instead of thinking table, in your native language. Consciously think table in English.
That sounds almost too simple, but I guess it's about building those basic connections, right?
Exactly. It's about training your brain to associate those everyday objects with their English counterparts. And over time, this can really lay the groundwork for more complex thought processes to occur naturally in English.
So if I'm constantly like labeling things in my mind, eventually I'll just start thinking in full English sentences without even realizing it.
That's the goal. It's a gradual process, and the script really emphasizes being patient with yourself. There will be times when you feel stuck, but those breakthroughs, those moments when you catch yourself thinking in English are incredibly rewarding.
It's like unlocking a whole new level of fluency. I remember when I was learning Spanish, there was this moment when I realized I was no longer mentally translating everything. It just started to flow.
That's the magic of language learning. It's
Yeah.
not just about, acquiring new words and grammar rules. It's about expanding your mind to embrace a whole new way of thinking and perceiving the world.
Okay, I'm definitely motivated to give this thinking in English thing a serious try. But we've also talked about the importance of having a language partner for practice. The script mentions some great apps and resources, but what if I just feel intimidated to actually speak with someone?
I totally get that. Putting yourself out there can be nerve-wracking. But remember, it's all about finding a supportive environment. The script highlights that connection and shared experience are way more important than, finding that perfect native speaker to practice with.
So it's more about finding someone who understands the journey, who can relate to the challenges and celebrate the wins.
Absolutely. Someone who's at a similar level to you can actually be a fantastic language partner. You can learn from each other's mistakes, share tips and resources, and build a sense of camaraderie along the way.
It's like having a study buddy, but for English. The script even suggests asking friends or family members if they'd be interested in practicing. I never even thought of that.
You might be surprised at how many people are open to the idea. It's a great way to incorporate practice into your daily life.
Okay, so we've got our daily practice routines. We're immersing ourselves in English, we're thinking in English, and we're finding supportive partners to practice with. But what about vocabulary? I mean, the sheer number of words in the English language can be so daunting.
I hear you. The script emphasizes that you don't need to learn every word at once. It's about building a solid foundation and expanding gradually. Remember that advice about learning a few new words each day.
Right. But isn't it easy to forget those words just as quickly?
That's where the power of spaced repetition comes in. We talked about this earlier, but it's worth repeating. By revisiting those words at increasing intervals, you're really solidifying them in your long-term memory.
It's like building a vocabulary gym for my brain. But the script also talks about going beyond individual words and focusing on phrases and idioms.
Those are crucial for sounding more natural and fluent. Think of it this way. Imagine you're building a house using only single bricks. It would be such a slow and tedious process, right?
I see where you're going with this. So phrases and idioms are like using prefabricated walls instead of individual bricks?
Exactly. They allow you to express yourself more efficiently and authentically. Instead of just saying, I'm happy, you could say, I'm over the moon.
I love that. It's like adding those finishing touches that make a house feel like a home.
And just like with decorating a house, it's about finding your own style. Don't be afraid to experiment with different phrases and idioms to find what feels most natural to you.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to learning English. It's not just about memorizing rules, it's about embracing the creativity and nuances of the language.
That's the spirit. And speaking of embracing missphere, remember how we talked about the importance of embracing mistakes?
Absolutely. That's something I'm definitely still working on. It's easy to get discouraged when I make a mistake, but I'm trying to reframe it as a learning opportunity.
That's the key. Remember, every mistake is a chance for your brain to make those adjustments and improve. The script even uses that humorous example of someone saying he go to school. It highlights how even a simple correction can solidify the correct grammar in your mind.
It's like our brains are saying, okay, noted. Let's try that again, but better this time.
Exactly. And that leads us to another important point the script makes. It makes the point about consistency and positivity.
Right. It emphasizes that learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes dedication and a willingness to keep going, even when you hit those inevitable bumps in the road.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the idea of perfection, especially when you see others who seem to be progressing so much faster.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well. Sometimes I get so discouraged when I compare myself to other English learners.
But remember, everyone's journey is unique. The script reminds us to focus on our own progress and to celebrate, those small victories along the way. Maybe you nailed a difficult pronunciation today, or you finally had a conversation without feeling completely lost. Those are the moments that fuel your motivation.
Yeah, it's about recognizing how far you've come rather than dwelling on how far you still have to go.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that thought-provoking question the script poses at the end. What one thing will you do today to take a small step forward on your English-speaking journey?
It's such a powerful question because it really shifts the focus from passive learning to active participation. It's like a call to action.
And it doesn't have to be this grand gesture. Maybe you'll
Mhm.
spend 5 minutes practicing shadowing, or you'll try using a new phrase in a conversation. Even the smallest step can make a difference.
It's about building momentum, right? Creating those positive habits that lead to long-term success.
Precisely. And as the script highlights, the key is to approach this whole journey with a sense of excitement and curiosity. Learning a language is an incredible opportunity to expand your horizons, connect with new people and cultures, and unlock a whole new world of possibilities.
I'm feeling so inspired after this deep dive. It's really made me realize that learning English is not just about mastering grammar and vocabulary. It's about embracing a whole new way of thinking and communicating.
It's a journey of self-discovery, and the rewards are immeasurable.
Well said. And if you're feeling motivated to take your English skills to the next level, be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the apps and resources we've discussed today.
And remember, the most valuable resource you have is your own dedication and enthusiasm.
Hmm.
Keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep believing in yourself.
You've got this. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Until next time.